So I'm Al Bartosik. I'm the executive director of the Fordham Foundry, and I want to welcome you all to the first of what we hope will be many Battle of the Bronx, which is a business plan competition featuring students from both Fordham University and Manhattan College. We're thrilled that you're with us tonight. We're really looking forward to some great presentations, some great questions from our panel of judges. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Dean Don Gibson from Manhattan's Mill Valley Business School, so he can make some introductions and we can get underway.
Very good. Thank you, Al. And it's great to see you all here. You know, this is very cool. We have two college powerhouses here in a pitch competition. So I just want to say, you know, Shark Tank, we laugh in your face. This is the real competition. And I know there's a bit of a chip on Fordham's shoulder here because the basketball Battle of the Bronx currently is in Manhattan's court. So tonight it'll be a chance for you all to set that right if it happens that way. And note there are $10,000 on the line tonight to support these potential new startups. But there's also a lot of pride because I believe there's a trophy on the line as well. And that trophy gets to sit in your display case if you win. If you lose, you walk away without the trophy for that year. But it is very exciting to be with these students. You will be impressed by their ideas. And that's the cool part, right? The terrific entrepreneurial ideas these teams come up with. We also have terrific judges this evening with a lot of experience in entrepreneurship, and I'd like to just introduce them now, and they'll say a little bit more later about their background. First of all, we have Ed Dintron with us tonight, a serial entrepreneur and founder of Fameboard, which is currently residing on Times Square. Next, we have Mike Kelly, who's managing partner of Yellow Thread Ventures. Welcome, Mike. We also have Bronson Linghamfelter, partner and founder of White Label Capital. Zen Matoshi, global head of innovation for Faraday Future. Donna Morris is with us as Chief People Officer of Walmart, a company you may have heard of. And finally, Winston Peters, founding partner of My Uber Life Consulting Group. And we're pleased to have all of our judges with us today. These judges bring a lot of experience to these competitions, and so we really appreciate their insights and the feedback they'll give to the teams. And now I'll throw it to Sean because we can get on with the action. Sean?
Let's do it. All right, thank you, Don, for that introduction, and Al for kicking us off. So my name is Sean Johnson. I'm the Associate Director at Fordham University, and I'll be co-hosting this experience as we get to hear from 6 amazing companies and actually get to hear who will come out on top as the winner of the inaugural Battle of the Bronx. So what we'll do is empower you all to make that determination alongside us with the People's Choice Award. So the People's Choice Award is an interactive opportunity for you to vote with your virtual dollars on who you think is the best company. And you can do that by taking 4 easy steps. So the first step is take out your phone and capture that QR code that you can see in the top left corner. Second, it'll take you to the App Store or the Google Play Store where you'll download the PreVC app on your phone. Then you can set up as a pre-investor. And lastly, you can join this competition by using the event code 8629. So we'll give you some prompts, but please pay attention to the pitches and consider yourself a judge, not just a participant in this event. Because again, there's $1,000 on the line for who will come out on top as the People's Choice Award winner, alongside the Battle of the Bronx grand prize winner and a few other prize awards. So what we'll do is we'll hear from the 6 teams in alternating fashion, but if you want to follow along with what those companies are, what the judges' backgrounds are, and just to run a show for today, we encourage you to also use your phone to download the program booklet using the QR code, or if you don't have a phone handy because it's busy downloading the PreVC app, you can use this short code, the URL below, and type it into your browser and you'll find the digital version of our program booklet. Okay, so let's get into it. As I mentioned, we've got 6 teams that we're going to hear from, and the lineup is such. First off, we'll have Noted, followed by Omnia, then Sjogren's Tracker, Iadap, Fit University, and lastly, a parent. That being said, let's kick things off with Noted. Kevin, if you'd like to share your screen, you can begin your 5-minute pitch.
All right, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Just a little full screen, and you're raring to go.
All right. Hello, my name is Kevin Stolenborg, and I'm presenting Noted, a way to redesign the path to your career. Growing up, I often was told that the secret to success was going to college and getting a job. But what if you couldn't go to college? What if you went to college and you didn't get a job? Well, to those questions, I often got the answer, that's just the way it is. But what if it didn't have to work that way? You see, Robert Frost said 2 roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So today, let's take that road less traveled by with Noted. Let's first start with the problem. As you can see in this graph, high-skilled jobs and low-skilled jobs have more qualified workers than job opportunities, and middle-skilled jobs have more job opportunities than qualified workers. The economic impact of this is massive, and the social impact of this is an increasing divide between high-income and low-income families. So what is a specifically skilled or middle-skilled job? Well, it's a job that requires more education and training than a high school diploma, but less than a 4-year college degree. Some of these include solar thermal installer, wind turbine service technician, and power line installer. Now, annual salary for these range from $30,000 to $100,000 or more. And to an unemployment population of 10 million people and an underemployment population of even more, a check like that would really mean something to their families and their communities. So how do we get people qualified for these positions to receive those benefits? Well, the solution is Noted, a new path to position people for a better job opportunity. To gain a better understanding, here's a survey I conducted that asked people who they would rather hire. Person A is a specifically skilled candidate, while person B is not. The survey showed that 81% of people would rather hire person A, but here's the kicker. Person A paid $0 for that education, and person B is an average college student paying $50,000 for that education. It didn't matter how much money they spent or where they came from. The difference was how the skills position them. And that's what Noted does. It trains people with the skills they need to land the job at no upfront cost. And we're able to do this by contracting a percentage of the student's salary once they secure a job. Meanwhile, they get in-depth skills for desired career and career service opportunities. In other words, we teach you the skills to stand out among other applicants. It's not a schooling education, and it's not on-the-job training. It's the unique middle spot that gives you the skills to develop and stand out as an applicant. So here's our business model. We contract 10% of the salary for a minimum of 6 months until costs are settled. With just 1% of the market share, that could generate a revenue of almost $300 million. Another revenue model projects how an increasing revenue is increasing as more students get jobs and more students get higher paying jobs. But how do we get to that 1%? Well, our service model combines a unique research process with specific relationships to help identify those direct skills needed when applying. Then the curriculum we build is around those skills to help people land the job. An example of this is a solar energy installation manager. Here are the skills that would be needed to help a person stand out in the application process. And to build that curriculum, we would have a 6-month process that goes in depth to each category to really outline and establish a connection. Of course, this would start in one industry, but we want it to be able to grow. So we would train to implement the service model and expand into new industries to ultimately automate and become online. So what about the competition? Well, some companies will not guarantee job security and others will, but not specifically in the industry Noted is focused on. Noted focuses on the sustainable industry because the UN projects that it will have 24 million new jobs available in the coming years. So with our competitive advantage, we have low costs, a unique target industry, added career service benefits, and we mitigate unemployment risk with the relationships we build. The bottom line is, instead of you betting on our services, we put our money where our mouth is and bet on you. That's why Noted is more than a company about getting you a job. It's a company that's providing you a new path that once taken makes all the difference. Thank you.
So thank you for that. So what we'll do is, before we get to hear from the judges in their questions about your presentation, we'd like to hear a bit from the judges themselves and hear a bit about their background. So we'll get to the Q&A, the 5-minute Q&A in just a bit, but why don't we start with Ed Dintron? Tell us a bit about you.
Hey everyone, how are you? It's great to be here. It's just I'm involved with my third innovation challenge, and it's really a highlight of my year working with students and get them prepared for this event. After I graduated from Manhattan, I did about 10 years in traditional advertising agencies, and in '95, I started my first online ad agency. It was back at a time called Web 1.0 when things were exploding and a lot of money was being spent unnecessarily. We bootstrapped the company and we're always profitable, and we're able to sell the company in 4 years later, before the bottom dropped out. Subsequent to that, I led a few digital agencies, and currently I'm working on a new project. It's a very cool technology that allows anyone to upload images from their phone to a billboard in Times Square. It's just about to be launched. It's called Fameboard, and it's a lot of fun. I'm getting old, but I'm still doing startups. I can't help myself. So it's great to be here.
Yep. Mike Kelly?
Hi, my company, really, we back startup companies. My source of capital is I sold a company that I started about 25 years ago. You may know us as the company if when you were studying abroad, you got sick or injured out of the country. We were the company that those insurance companies called to medevac you out. So I sold that company a few years ago to a Japanese insurance company. And so since then, I've been investing and working with startups. In fact, I'm working with a company right now that is actually related to the business I used to be in. And we providing if you travel and you get tested positive for COVID, we'll send a private jet to pick you up. So we're trying to help get travel restarted in the Caribbean and some other places like that. So, but this has been great working with Manhattan in this program. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Bronson Lingenfelter.
Yeah, I'm Bronson Lingenfelter. I've spent my career in the New York City startup ecosystem, jumping back and forth between investing and operating early stage companies. So I guess I'm on my third run on the venture side right now, supporting specifically corporate venture capital groups on an on-demand basis. And then I also helped grow a company called Comixology from infancy to acquisition by Amazon, which is a digital distribution platform for comic books.
All right, Zamatoshi.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here, and it's I'm from Fordham University, graduated just over a decade ago, so really good to be here and speak to you guys. Before I go into background, I wanted to ask Mike about his program. Mike, if I understood the service that you're providing, you're sending private jets to pick up Americans who are stuck abroad and can't come back. So say I go abroad and say, hey, Mike, I have COVID. Could you send a private jet to come pick me up? Is that how it works? Because that sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, you have to buy the policy before you leave. But if you get there, we just brought a woman and her daughter back from the Maldives. So to give you an idea, that's $180,000 expense. So
I'll sign up. Graduated Fordham just over a decade ago, went to Gabelli. Like you, Kevin, or maybe like you, I didn't really know what to study. So I studied everything. All I knew was when I was a kid, I loved technology, loved putting computers together, loved putting, writing some code and, seeing what I can do with that. And so loved technology. And then somehow somebody convinced me that Gabelli was the perfect school to go to, or Fordham. It wasn't Gabelli yet. So went to Gabelli, basically ended up studying everything, took something like 145 credits in economics and finance and philosophy and poetry and theology and, anything, marketing, anything, law, anything till you figure it out. Did that. Ended up working in finance for a little bit, for about a year, because that's what we were supposed to do. And I did PWM, and I found the life on the other side a lot more interesting. So we were managing money, about $3 billion for entrepreneurs who were coming up with, who had come up with incredible companies and had great stories. And, we were the money managers. And from that experience, I thought, well, it would be quite incredible to be on the other side rather than in an office making more money for people who have a lot of money. And so that's how I got into entrepreneurship, started my first company in 2010, and invested in my first company in 2011. Yeah, maybe 2010, 2011, invested in a fintech. Fintech was not quite sexy back then. And the startup was by a Fordham University student who had just graduated. So I'm not sure I'm from Fordham, invested in my first startup from a founder from Fordham. So I'm not sure which way I'm biased. And the reason I don't know which way I'm biased is because the company went bankrupt 3 months later. I had saved up about $90,000, I think, at the time, and put $30,000 into my first startup, and they went bankrupt. So I was like, all right, this is not how you do angel investing. Clearly, I have to meet some mentors, which I did. Started a few companies, started a music platform, which scaled to about 7 million users, started an architecture platform. And then eventually there was a company in California being set up called Hyperloop. And it was basically just two guys and a $1,300 a month space in Culver City, Los Angeles. I joined that team, and that team grew from the three of us to the four of us to, something like 800 people today. That company is called Hyperloop Transportation Technologies. Incredible company, kept working on startups and investing in others, and eventually ended up joining Faraday Future as the global head of innovation. So I still angel invest in startups and trying to scale startups. At Faraday, we've raised about $3 billion, roughly $3 billion, to invest in electric vehicles and try to bring electric vehicle diversification to the market so that it's not just Tesla. There's some competition to them, hopefully. And that's all about me. Thank you for having me.
All right, Donna Morris.
Listen, it's great to be here. I once learned be brief, be brilliant, be gone. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm Chief People Officer at Walmart. Before that, I worked at Adobe. Joined Adobe when they were 3,000 employees, around 1 billion, and left when they became Wall Street darling, but also just a prolific builder of different solutions in the digital marketing space and in the creative space. So I am not an entrepreneur, but I've seen a lot of them, and I've been in a lot of deals where we've passed. And when we pass, it's because we don't believe in the people, and we don't believe in what they really are passionate about doing. So Kevin, you got us started on a great note, and excited to dive in and listen to more of the groups. Thanks for having me. And I should say I'm a proud parent of a Gabelli graduate.
Nice. And then before we turn it back over to Kevin to answer some questions, Winston, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Winston Peters. I'm the founding partner of My Life Consulting, which is a New York City-based management consulting firm. We build businesses and build brands in different verticals, small cap, mid cap, large cap companies. We help creatives be more business minded by helping them create certain business models, but also we work with corporations to help them be more culturally adept. Like I said, building businesses, building brands, working with startups in New York City. Real quick.
Fantastic. All right. So Kevin, noted, you're back in the hot seat. So 5 minutes of Q&A starting now. And Ed, we will start with you. First question.
Hi, Kevin. Great job. I was really impressed. I guess I have a few questions. How long does one of your programs take? And how do you get paid? And I had a bunch of questions, but how do you intend on getting the word out and getting customers to take the course?
Definitely. So I'm glad you answered it, and I'll kind of go down the line of what you said. So the program, I alluded to kind of, was that it's a 6-month program for each in each different industry, but specifically targeting sustainable businesses at first. As for how do people get paid, or how do we get paid? That's a great question. And for that, I just want to share my screen real quick. In 1 second. Share. Okay. And awesome. And a kind of a good outline of that, I think, comes in this cost and profit analysis outline, which establishes how the teacher salary is 90%, and a student could generate that $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year. And kind of where I'm sure you're curious is, how do we get that money from the student? And it's when they land a position or when they land a career, we are contracting out a specific portion of their salary so that it comes back to us as a company. So there's no upfront cost per se, but they're paying with that way.
But do you have to pay the teachers in advance? And where do those funds come from?
Right. And the teachers they get paid based off of the rolling, the rolling revenue that we get. So this, I think, demonstrates that perfectly, that we would only need to place 2.5 students to cover a one teacher salary. So in the beginning, it would kind of be a good opportunity to get people into the program. And that way the teachers are getting paid, and then teachers can effectively teach 20 students, which is an overwhelming potential profit of $600,000, which is pretty crazy in just a year. Well, for a college student like me, I guess. And then how to get the word out? Well, this is a great question as well, because it's kind of ironic. Since I've been doing this, we had a partner contact us, and it was basically within just the 2 weeks that this had started, with no marketing efforts whatsoever, just word of mouth and contact between the Fordham Foundry and myself, that we were able to land somebody who wanted me to present to potential 5 to 20 clients that would be on this program, most likely targeting career services specifically at first, and then going and transitioning into the development of a career path.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for the questions.
Sure.
All right. So very robust question. And if my timing is right, I think we'll get Mike Kelly to ask the second and last one before we move on. All right. Well, instead, why don't I offer that to Zen?
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, great job with the presentation. I would like to know why this idea, why the startup, and who's the team behind it?
Definitely. So this idea, it was actually kind of a combination of me and my friend coming up with a project when we were entering into the Fordham Foundries pitch competition. And what we had been discussing was kind of our brainstorming ideas of how we're currently struggling with this idea of the career path. You know, how are we gonna, if we get the college degree, it's not necessarily, especially with the times that we're all facing right now, that you're gonna land a job. So we started looking into different avenues, and some companies do have similar topics as this, but we almost like how I believe it was either the Oreo or the Cheerio was created, that we wanted to take that idea and make it even better. So we took that idea and focused it into the blue collar industry, specifically in sustainability, because it's in the forefront of everybody's mind, especially with the infrastructure plans that are currently being held, and the green push with the new presidency that is upheld. So that's pretty awesome, and it was a little bit of a coincidence, but also a really great cause as well.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And we'll move on to our next team, which is Omnia. So, Joe and John, if you'd like to share your screen and start your pitch.
Give me 1 second. All right, just gonna make sure everybody can see that.
We can see.
All right, perfect.
Full screen. And you're good to go.
Okay. All right. Okay, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Project Omnia, a revolutionary e-commerce platform that will take the fashion world by storm. My name is Joseph DeMauro, and I'm a sophomore at Manhattan College.
My name is John Mazars, and I'm a junior.
For years, the clothing industry has been plagued by a very simple misstep in their website and app design. Rows upon rows of boxes showing items, sometimes 90 at a time, are all too common on the average clothing store. And I know we've all been there. Too many options makes us overwhelmed, which results in either a regretful purchase or no purchase at all.
This problem boils down to these websites' user interfaces. When bombarded with too many options, the human mind tends to not be able to focus on any singular product. This phenomenon is called overchoice.
So then, what is the solution to this problem, which seems to be endemic within the clothing industry? Welcome to Omnia, the app that gives each item its own spotlight and every user their perfect choice.
So let's take a quick dive into some of the features and controls of the app itself. Upon opening, the user is presented the home screen. From here, you can access product information, settings and filters, cart, and saved items with the click of a button.
Swipes left, right, or up will like an item saved in the liked items list, dislike, or add the product to a cart respectively. A tap on the center of the screen will cycle through different pictures and angles of each item.
A product's in-depth information can be found in the top left icon. After any swiping action, the user is then presented with the next item.
And that's it. The app only features around 25 screens, which was done on purpose for simplicity of use. But you may be asking, how does the app know which items to serve to which users? This is where our keyword-based algorithm approach comes into play. When the user signs up, they will select 15 of a given 50 keywords that best describe their style. From there, they will be matched with items based on the highest compatibility of keywords. Shown here, Maria is a 93% match with this dress. This keyword approach will be our personalized For You page. Each will be unique to the user and will continue to become more unique with further use. This will be our main screen.
So how do we source our inventory? Small to medium starter brands will apply to be a seller on our platform. From there, they will be vetted and approved based on quality. With these principles in mind, our website will feature a producer backend in which our brands may upload products for approval, see statistics regarding the unique products, and manage overall operations. Omnia will never handle any inventory. Shipping will be from producer to buyer.
So now you have a general grasp of the functionality of Omnia.
Are there any competitors to our service?
As can be expected from such a massive industry, of course there are competitors. In the case of apps, we see Zappos and Grailed as our main competition based on their decentralized approach to clothing sales. And as far as browser-based companies are concerned, ASOS, PacSun, and Urban Outfitters are our main competition based on their selection of inventory, though any clothing site or app could also be considered competition. When browsing through all of these sites and apps, the user needs to look for the item they want, which means more time finding and less time buying. With Omnia, the user's perfect choice comes to them in a format which makes small decisions easier. In short, our algorithm approach will do what TikTok did to the social media space, make it more efficient overall through algorithmic recommendation whilst maximizing time spent on individual content.
With all of that said, why choose us? Simply put, we are the next evolution in the clothing e-commerce space. We will use innovative design and machine learning techniques to achieve a more efficient selling process. And while we're on the topic of sales and selling, how will Omnia monetize its platform? Well, we have devised a three-pronged approach to monetization. First, Omnia will receive a cut of all items purchased on its platform. This will be our main source of revenue.
Second, boosted items, meaning items which producers pay to be shown on more screens, will appear within the carousel of items every 20th item.
And lastly, utilizing the like and dislike features of the app, Omnia will be able to sell that market research back to the producer with a monthly price tag, as this information will inform them on which products are generally liked and disliked.
So now you have a general understanding of our app, its features, and its financial functions. Now, how will we advertise? The advertising of Omnia services will be pretty straightforward. Ads will be purchased on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Google. Beyond this, an expansive brand ambassador program will be established, in which prominent social media influencers will be employed through the company to spread a word-of-mouth campaign about Omnia. These simultaneous campaigns should bring in the number of users that are needed for us to grow at a rate required for sustainability.
Who is our customer base? Our customer base is comprised of 16 to 24-year-olds, both male and female. After conducting a survey via Google Forms and sending it to 20 participants in these demographics, we found that potential users were overwhelmingly positive to the idea of an app which serves a custom list of items to them one at a time. We expect to expand our user base to more mature demographics later on.
As we all know, startups aren't free. So how much will Omnia cost, and what do revenue projections look like 5 years down the line? The total investment needed will be $1.4 million. As can be seen here, Omnia will run off of investment until its 4th year, after which it will be able to run off of its own profit. Profits in the 5th year will be in the neighborhood of $10.2 million, with a projected user base of around 1 million. Any prize money awarded will go to the creation of a beta version of the app, which will then be tested. Findings from this initial round of testing will then be shown to investors in the hopes of getting funded in the amount needed for full-time release and operation. And if there's one thing Manhattan College always taught us, it was to contribute back to the community. We plan to add a donation feature where upon registration, the user may select one of 5 charities to give 2% of revenue from that account to that selected charity.
To round out our presentation, we would like to present a quote that to us sums up Omnia's driving philosophy. Learning to choose is hard. Learning to choose well is harder. And learning to choose well in a world of unlimited possibilities is harder still. Perhaps too hard.
Omnia, perfection in every swipe. Thank you.
All right. So getting right into it with Q&A from the judges. Bronson, we're going to give the first question to you.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear a little bit about the team and how you're thinking about the machine learning algorithms to drive recommendations.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'd love to hear about your team and how you're thinking about building out the machine algorithms.
Okay, so yeah, while neither of us really have experience in it, we do have a general grasp of how it would work and how we plan to get there. We've been in contact with a few machine learning specialists, like on Fiverr and stuff like that for the beta version of the app. And through all the talks we've had with them, our ideas about how to recommend the correct item to the correct user, they seem to think that it is definitely doable.
And have you looked at the competitive landscape of service providers to retailers providing this type of recommendation engine?
There is one app that does do this thing. They focus more on the high-end clothing companies, and they really it's by whole outfit, and you also can't buy straight off the app. It just sends you to the website where those items are available. So there's no real exact match or exact competitor to us. We see more as we have competitors as in, and a lot of people sell clothes. That's basically the competitors we see. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, the next question will go to Donna.
I have to say, I feel like this is the topic for me to ask questions because I'm big on online shopping and I love everything to do with fashion. But you need a lot of data to drive insights. And whilst you framed the young woman in the red dress, my question probably doubles down into Bronson. You both need data specific to inventory and you need data specific to customers' demands. So if you haven't gone the path of thinking about the algorithm, have you started to think about what brands? You said, small to medium-sized labels. A lot of those labels have been impacted by virtue of the economic crisis. How are you thinking about inventory and getting inventory would be my first question.
Sure. So our initial idea was to actually have a marketing campaign specifically to those small and medium brands to start to get them to show interest in us. From there, they apply and we vet them based on quality because we don't want to sell an inferior product. From there, we look into how much inventory they're producing, what their available quantity is per month, and then we use their information that they enter in that producer backend that's website based to then give accurate results onto our app. Yeah.
And then the other strong recommendation I would have, just given experiences, it is complicated to get into the logistics and the delivery. It sounds like you're going to leave that in the back end. You might actually think of this as more of a front end experience that you actually sell as an interface to retailers to drive themselves, as opposed to being the company. So something to think about. The experience layer is often a valuable layer for businesses. So just give that some thought as you continue to build out this idea. But shoppable commerce, you're right, it's a missing opportunity. So good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And the last question we'll give to Winston.
Great presentation. My question is for you is, how are you acquiring your influencers to promote your application, to promote your business? Because acquiring customers is one part of the equation, but also acquiring the influencers is another part of the equation that could be very expensive. So what is your strategy to get to convince influencers to promote your business?
Sure. So I actually, from my hometown, know there's a few kids who have wound up being influencers. One of them is actually sort of making it big as a model as we speak, and in talks with them, because that's who we really spoke to kind of develop that side of the marketing strategy. We've sort of settled on, yes, a payment to them, but also sort of a code where if a shopper decides that they'd like to purchase something and they heard about Omnia through whatever influencer, they can enter that creator code, and that creator will then get a percentage profit from that sale. So really, the incentive for them is to get as many people onto our platform as possible, because that directly correlates to how much money they make later on.
Right. So, and then my next question with that, now you're giving donations, your charitable donations. Now there's percentages from sales going to influencers. How does that affect your bottom line?
Yeah. So as far as the donation side of it, we start with the 10%, and then they would get the 90%, the person who made the close. But that 2% would then be divided equally. So we would actually realistically get 9% of every sale, and they would get 89. And then for the influencers, that would take away from our bottom line as well. It would just go on us. We want to take as little from the producer to incentivize them to stay on the platform as possible.
Thank you.
All right. So now we'll move on to our next team, which is Sjogren's Tracker. Ingrid, if you'd like to share your screen and begin your pitch.
Yes. Give me 1 second. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ingrid He, the founder of Sjogren's Tracker. I'm currently an MBA student at the Gabelli School of Business. So about 10 years ago, I was actually studying law at Fordham Law School when I was suddenly hit with waves of fatigue and flu-like symptoms. I went to countless doctor's appointments over a period of 5 years before I was finally diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Sjogren's. That's when I found out that there was this whole class of autoimmune conditions, including arthritis, celiac, lupus, and Sjogren's, where the body's immune system essentially attacks its own healthy cells, causing the body to feel sick. These are lifelong conditions with no cures, and patients are expected to manage symptoms by keeping track of them on a paper journal or worksheet like the one shown on the right here. So my goal with Sjogren's Tracker is to first target the 1 to 4 million people in the United States alone with Sjogren's syndrome, and then to expand my market toward those with autoimmune disorders in general, which affect up to 24 million people in the United States alone. And those numbers are only expected to rise over time, as a recent study has suggested that the incidence of autoimmune diseases is rising. So the problem here is a need for autoimmune patients to track symptoms, medications, and environmental triggers. Paper journals are time-consuming and inefficient, and there's no easy way to visualize or calculate the data recorded on paper. The solution is a digital app that allows users to customize variables, track daily, and visualize their data through graphics and statistics. So here's the current app that is available on the App Store. It allows users to create an account, log in with Facebook or Google, and then they get to customize symptoms, medications, aggravators, and comorbidities. And on a day-to-day basis, they simply have to input how they feel, select the applicable symptoms, medications, aggravators, comorbidities, and over time, graphics and statistics are generated to help them better understand their conditions. And they could even export all of their data onto an Excel sheet that they could either send to themselves for record keeping or send it to their physicians to facilitate communications. So the current business model is a freemium model where users can access standard features for free and subscribe to premium features for about $2 a month. Premium features include numerical ratings for individual symptoms that are then can be graphed by individual symptoms, as well as the customization of food groups. So based on early data from the past 2 months, we have a rough projection for future revenue. Essentially, if the app can reach 500,000 users in the next 3 to 5 years, with an average of 5% of users subscribing at $20 a year, then we will be able to achieve 500,000 in annual revenue. So with a digital product like this, the upfront development cost is heavy, but ongoing maintenance can be relatively inexpensive. And we expect really break-even point to be around 100,000 users for up to a year. The market adoption strategy will focus heavily on partnerships with organizations such as Sjogren's Foundation, who I actually have a meeting with next week. Our second avenue of market adoption will be through social media marketing campaigns and outreach. The app's Instagram page currently has about 3,000 followers, and we've also started a Facebook page. So what I have found is that there are lots and lots of Facebook groups dedicated to different autoimmune disorders where patients and family members connect to share ways to manage and cope with their conditions. And if I can reach one member of a group who likes my app and recommend it in their group, then I could potentially tap into thousands of others in these network of Facebook groups, which leads me to our third channel, which is word of mouth through physicians, other users, and app store reviews. In terms of the competitive landscape, there's a variety of symptom tracking apps ranging from very basic and generic ones to more useful but more expensive ones. So Sjogren's Tracker aims to dominate the upper right corner, where it creates a tailored experience for patients with autoimmune disorders at an affordable rate. I think our closest competitor is probably Bearable, which charges $4.50 a month for premium features, but we differentiate from Bearable and others by marketing ourselves as being designed specifically for individuals with autoimmune disorders to address their particular set of needs, and also by costing at about half the cost of Bearable per month. So here are what some of the users are saying now. So you can see what some of the common themes in bold. So what sets Sjogren's Tracker apart from its competitors is 1, it offers everything in one neat package for individuals with autoimmune disorders. 2, it's highly customizable. And 3, its simplicity and sleek design. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll get into our Q&A with Mike Kelly taking the first question. Mike?
You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm very interested in your product. One of my daughters has an autoimmune disease called TRAPS, which is a periodic fever syndrome illness. And her 5-year-old son was just diagnosed with the same. So it is really a market that lacks a lot of these collecting mechanisms for these specialty diseases. So, you know, I thought it was well thought out. I was curious, since diabetes is such a well-known disease, are there apps that are data collection type applications for diabetes as well, or other major illnesses? Really, I'm just challenging you in your competitive matrix. I thought it was good. I'm thinking about diseases that are really large.
Yes, so the most famous one I would say is Migraine Buddy for people with migraines. They have, I want to say 2 to 3 million users right now. They were initially, I think, started by a research university. So that was part of the inspiration, was based on them. But again, it was only migraines, and I didn't like their user interface because it takes too long for me to input data every time. So because of that, I wouldn't be able to use it consistently. And then
Got
there
it.
are also more generic ones, like it was displayed on my quadrant if you want to see it. Things like pain scale is just for pain, but you couldn't add customized symptoms and people might have different things. And it just wasn't as tailored an experience as I wanted.
Do you think that, I mean, you're picking it for the disease that you're most interested in, obviously, and that's terrific. Is it malleable where people will be able to insert other diseases in your infrastructure?
Yeah, so I definitely think so. And some of the users who tried it have left me that feedback. It's so customizable because you could change the name of the symptoms, you could change the icons, color, and the aggravators, that it's really for any other autoimmune or chronic conditions. But right now, I'm staying with the name Sjogren's because I'm getting such great like SEO in terms of search words. With the App Store searches, when I run Google ads, the SJO Sjogren's is the thing that gets me the most traffic. So I'm going to stay with that until I hit a certain number, which when I think I've gotten a good chunk of the Sjogren's people, and then I'm going to rebrand it. Well, there's actually a couple of different options. I could either rebrand it to something more generic, which I have an idea in mind, or I could clone the Sjogren's tracker to something for like lupus tracker and just change a couple of the preset symptoms to be more specific to lupus. So that's another option. So I'm thinking about it. But right now I'm focused on just targeting the Sjogren's people with that very particular set of spelling for that disease.
Great.
I have 20 more questions, but thank you.
Thank you.
Zen, would you like to take the next question?
Yes, please. Ingrid, that was a great presentation. Thank you. I identify with the issue pretty well myself, and I know some people who do as well. Beyond tracking symptoms, which is a task on its own, what can you do? What other value do you provide after you track symptoms?
So, you know, the graphics that's displayed, I don't know if you would rather, maybe I'll share it again. Hold on. Sorry. So the graphic that's displayed can help with identifying certain trends. So for example, when I started tracking it, sorry, it's not the most easy to see. So like each spike is a flare in symptoms. And then what I would do is I would have like daily medications graph along the bottom and it's just a straight line. So you can see like if certain daily medications are helping with your conditions, flares over time, if you have less after a while. And something I noticed with me is that I have seasonal flares. So like every March, every October, I will have flares. That's something I didn't know until I started graphing these kind of things. And also another thing that's helpful is a lot of people with autoimmune disorders, they take a thing called prednisone, which you have to taper. So you start with a higher dosage and then you can't just suddenly stop. You have to slowly lower it. And for me, I always forget what dosage what am I on now? So if I go to the graph, I can very easily see it.
So could this, sorry, one last question. Could you then recommend the dosage of, well, I don't suppose you could do it from an app. Maybe you can't provide medical advice, but if you could, I assume then you could just sort of recommend when to take your medication because you can't just take it all the time, right?
Yeah, so I don't want to do that right now because I would have to partner with a physician because then I'd be offering medical advice. It's potentially more liability and then I'd have to comply with HIPAA. But the other thing I thought that was great for something like this is that every time I would go to the doctor, they would say, so how many flares did you have last year? When was the last time you took prednisone? And I would never ever remember. So, but if I go to this graph and then if I hover my mouse over it, it shows the date. Like, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
It would show the date. And then, so like the lighter color scheme is the medication like prednisone. So if I hover over, it was like, oh, the last time, you know, I took it on October the 3rd, I took 30 milligrams of prednisone. So it's a better way to communicate with physicians and even with the statistics on the insights. So eventually, once you've used it for 6 months, there's going to be sort of summaries. Like in the last year, your main symptoms were XYZ, and you took prednisone how many times on average for how many days. So like it doesn't really show here, but 6 months in, it kicks in. And what I want to take it to in the future is a whole other set. I want to implement like machine learning too. So first of all, I want to do like pattern recognition between all users to see which symptoms are most common. And then eventually I want to do like machine learning to predict for each individual symptom what aggravators are most likely to cause an increase in what symptom. But that would be way down the line. That require a lot of data from like a single user.
Thank you, Ingrid.
All right, so we'll leave it there. And next, we'll hear from Sean, Stephen, Alex, Kelly, Iadap. Team, if you'd like to share your slides and begin your pitch.
Yes, I'll do that right now. Thank you. Okay. Just to confirm, can everyone see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, let me mute myself, and Sean, you can take it away.
Great, thank you, Alex. Hello, everyone. I want to first thank everyone for being here as we introduce our idea, Iadap. We are Iadap. Iadap is an innovative prosthetic design company. Our mission is in creating prosthetics to assist those with limb deficiencies in sports recreational activities. Our goal is to provide a tool that can be adapted to a user's life. Before we go further into innovation, we'll introduce the team. My name is Sean Abraham, and I'm an engineering student responsible for partnerships and investor relations.
My name is Alex Castro. I'm an engineering student responsible for the financial operations here at Iadap.
I'm Kelly Swick, and I'm an economics student responsible for communications and public relations.
My name is Steven Palacios, and I'm an engineering student responsible for the product design and engineering at Iadap.
There is an underserved population of people who are living with limb deficiencies. As the number of these people grow every year, there needs to be a solution that's both adaptable and affordable to them. That solution is us.
Our solution consists of a base arm socket that can connect to our multiple recreational attachments. Our solution is affordable because these attachments will be manufactured as a standard size that will allow the arm socket to be interchangeable with our multiple connections. Because these attachments can connect to and disconnect from the arm socket, the device can be adaptable to as many recreational activities possible. Iadap would like to introduce one of the few forms we could take called the adaptive handlebar attachment. Consisting of a two-piece device, the arm socket can connect to the telescoping tube, which will come attached with the clamp type attachment. With its secure connection to the handlebar and its ability to adjust to the user, the device can help those adapt to the bicycle as safely and efficiently as possible. Iadap will also like to introduce the multiple connections it has available, such as the clamp type that was previously mentioned, the cup type that will allow to catch different sporting equipment, and the fin type that will allow the user to swim. According to research, there was about 9 million limb deficiency cases that have occurred in the US between 2017 and 2018, and the corresponding annual growth rate was about 187,000 people. On top of that, the market size value for prosthetics has accumulated a value of about $6.16 billion US dollars. Those are just in the US alone. It was also stated that the need for prosthetics in developing countries was about 88 million people, which will allow Iadap to extend our low-cost products worldwide where it was necessary.
Looking at the competition, companies such as TRS provide custom products that are affordable but are not adjustable to people of different sizes. And while OSER might make strong prosthetics, they are not affordable to many consumers and only tend to target a small number of sports-related activities. Private clinics are known to make expensive, short-term prosthetics that are not adjustable to a growing person.
There are 10,000 prostheticists in the US, and their support and endorsement is critical to our success. The primary focus of our marketing strategy is to form relationships to give us exposure to their patients. We want to educate prostheticists and their clients about what Iadap is and how it is different from current solutions. We see this working by getting our materials, specifically posters and brochures, in the waiting rooms of these offices. In addition, our partners will receive a base socket and an attachment to demonstrate for their patients how the Iadap device works. Facebook groups will bring awareness because we will join limb difference community groups to educate and promote our products to them. And then once well established, we'll partner with the Amputee Coalition and the International Paralympic Committee, in which we're going to partner with our marketing material, and I'll offer to donate 10% of our sales to their cause. This is our e-commerce and lifestyle website in which all sales will occur through. Then the products will be shipped from our 3D printing partners to our customers. We are close to signing a deal with a high volume 3D printing service company. Based on volume, we can get up to a 20% discount on our costs. It will cost $450 to produce the arm socket and $150 to produce the attachment for a total cost of $600. We will sell the combo for $1,250, making it an affordable price.
We're going to reach our customers by partnering with prosthetic, therapeutic, and orthotic offices who averagely serve 250 clients each per year. We will start our partnerships in this tri-state area, and then we will expand from there. We aim to steadily increase our partners with at least 5 offices in the first quarter. Our conversion rate will be a high priority. The conversion rate is the ratio of prosthetic patients to Iadap customers. Assuming a conversion rate of 2% for the first quarter, we will have 25 clients who would purchase our units sold a little above 1K each. From these 25 clients, we assume that some will purchase an additional connection for purposes of playing another sport. This will result in a total gross revenue of $35,000 or gross profit of $19,000 when considering our production costs for the first quarter. As we hit each quarter, we hope to increase our total partnerships, conversion rates, gross profits as we make our name known throughout the world.
In the future, we plan to file for a provisional patent as well as add an experienced prosthesis to our advisory board. We also have goals for the future as we develop a new line of attachment. Thank you for listening to us as we presented our idea, Iadap. Please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And ask away we shall with the first question actually going to Winston.
Thank you for that presentation, Iadap. My question to you is, looking at the prosthetic in terms of customer acquisition, what data have you received, or what data have you gathered to really understand that that prosthetic is something that your customer actually wants?
So I could take this question. So we actually partnered with a nonprofit organization called Adaptability, in which we worked closely together with someone who does have a form deficiency. So we were working closely with her to see what she's comfortable with, what she needs on a bicycle. So that is what was based off for the design of the Iadap prosthetic.
All right.
All right.
My follow-up question is, in terms of production, what is I saw the production cost. Now, in terms of scale, how are you able to scale up that production?
So it is based off what how we're building it. Like mentioned before, the socket is going to be 3D printed, as well as the telescoping arm, which is going to be made out of metal. So it's going to start off with the socket having the different components, and that's going to be the main portion that's going to be like I said, 3D printed. The other portion is going to be made according to need. So but that's still based off the number of attachments. That's just how the attachments are going to however much they need to be printed or like made. That's what we're going to be focused on. But
thank you.
All right, so the next one we'll invite Donna. Donna, question from you.
Let me first just say that I think it's really inspiring, your focus in terms of supporting those that are needed. In terms of comparison, on even from a competitive viewpoint, how would you compare your product, your service, and then who are the medical experts that you're actually getting guidance from, or how are you thinking about that?
I can answer that question, and that's a great question. So comparing to the competitors, what makes Iadap unique is, again, going back to how the competitors make their prosthetics, they make custom attachments to an existing prosthetic from the user, while Iadap will create a unique arm socket that could be compatible with our multiple standard sized attachments. So as Sean has mentioned, the arm socket could, like I said, be placed onto any of our attachments depending on the recreational activity that the user would like to partake in.
And then in terms of just even from a medical viewpoint, any concerns in terms of wearing the actual device in terms of the well-being of the individual?
So our device in specifying on the arm socket would contain a mesh type material that would allow for comfortability, as well as buckles that will hold the residuum in place for safety. And Sean, I believe you wanted to mention something. I saw you on mute.
Yeah, I started speaking, but it didn't. The unmute didn't go through. So actually, something I didn't get to mention is that we're working with actual clients who are designing this for, and because of that, we're a lot of it right now is trying to understand what design is best. We have different we are continually working on the design and getting customer feedback, and right now that's one of our top priorities before we get these partnerships and present.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Really great work.
Right. So we got time for a quick question. So Bronson, if you got one, please feel free.
Does this require medical approval? So my questions were pretty aligned with Donna's. I'm curious, as a medical device, what type of medical approval do you need to get to go to market? And what are the concerns? The doctor's offices are a primary channel. What are the concerns that the doctors that you've spoken with have articulated?
All right. So one of the main things that we want to work on is getting those partnerships. And I mentioned also that we wanted a prosthesis on our advisory board. Concerns why specifically, that's still stuff that we're going to go into as a final design aspect. Right now we're on the part of working with customers and trying to see what is the most. But of course, understanding the medical side of it is why we want more direction from a prosthesis.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to our next team. So if we can call to the stage, Fit University.
All right. Hey, Marquise, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Awesome. Jess, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, guys. Give me one moment, make sure everything is good on my end. All right, there you go. I was waiting for them to spotlight you. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Pullen. I'm co-founder of Fit University, and this is me in the middle with the ATL shirt on. And this is my beautiful family. And like many families within the world, if you scratch a little deep or dig a little deep, you'll see that there's a lot of problems that exist, from mental health. I struggle with it from time to time, bipolar, mood swings. I was once obese. I look pretty decent right here. But also my family suffered from just being poor. Let's call it what it is. We didn't have as much money as the other families. So I decided to turn myself into a certified personal trainer and a certified nutrition coach so that I could teach my family these good habits and share it with the world alongside my brother.
I'm co-founder, a certified life coach.
I'm Jessica Rizzo, licensed clinical social worker and director of clinical services for Fit University. So as a daughter of the Bronx and professional product of its public education system, the figures that we're getting ready to show you guys are very real and dear to us. Here are some visuals reflecting just the disparities in wellness barriers as it pertains to obesity and poverty by these cultural groups. And it also depicts the gaps in access to mental health care services in these communities. So this is where Fit University comes into the picture to bridge these gaps with our Healthy Living Challenge.
All right, and what is Healthy Living Challenge? It's the solution to the problems that I stated in the very beginning. It's a digital platform where people across the world can connect and, participate in a game, have fun. You can see the happy, smiling faces, and they do it within our app. And our philosophy behind all of this is just complete wellness, holistic wellness, physical, mental, financial. And we feel like if people can get in tune with their mindful movements and exercising, have good eating habits, and teach them about their making sound financial decisions, and also their mental well-being, with the support of the community, anything is possible. So with that being said, how do we make this happen? Each individual person will sign up within our app, and they'll answer a bunch of different questions. And once they answer the questions, we have this data that we allow them to enter into our community. And from this data, we can set them up with an initial consultation, either physical, mental, financial. And it's optional, but if they choose to have that initial consultation, they'll learn a lot about themselves and we'll learn more about them. But from that point, if they want extended help, we'll partner them with one of our in-house coaches or one of our counselors. Or if they want to meet with somebody in person in their local area, we can refer them out to someone in their local area. So the membership, it's basically $50 to sign up per month. They get live weekly workout sessions. I'm a coach. I love doing the workout sessions, but we also have guest fitness instructors that come in and actually teach classes as well. And we're going to start having roundtables also with counselors that come in and speak. But we have different layers of memberships also. We have partnerships with GAIAM, TRX, and then also we're partnering with local community centers like Ackworth Community Center, and also our merchandise. As you can see, we're all wearing this right now. It's empowering. It's when our members are wearing it, they're feeling good, they're looking good. And at the end of the day, we figure in 5 years, if we can have 500 members, that's roughly bringing in $1 million in revenue in economics. So you can see here, roughly, we don't have much overhead since it's a virtual space, $300 for our operational costs, 20% of each membership will go towards payroll and also marketing. We spend like $500 per month on marketing, and then we allocate $400 to the side just for any guest speakers that may come in and basically come in and speak to our community. So in a nutshell, 100 members per month, that's roughly $5,000 revenue, $2,200 in costs. That's $2,800 in profits a month, which roughly 56% profit margin.
And so sustaining our monthly profit is very realistic. If you take a look at the $264 billion being poured into the holistic health industry, our monthly membership is definitely eye candy to the 62 million interested in our fitness and our target market, our multi-generational families ranging between ages 16 and 63. They only need their smartphone to access our community. And so we reach our multi-generational families through our monthly newsletter, our local partnerships, our personal website, and marketing ads through our social media platforms so that our customers can have an easy access to competitive benefits that we offer. And so we speak of competitors. Yes, we have Fidelity, Peloton, Talkspace, but they only offer a third of what we provide our consumers. And so our competitive pricing, our virtual platform, artificial and human intelligence seals the deal for our one-stop shop holistic health community, where we make our lasting social impact.
And a little bit of self-disclosure here, right? As an immigrant from Ecuador, mental health provider, entrepreneur, and custodial parent of a 3-year-old, COVID led me to realize the importance of healing transgenerational trauma and patterns that do not align with the future we want to leave, right, for our family legacy. I was a student ready for a shift, and Fit University arrived into my life with the solutions. Today, my mother and my daughter participate in our three times a week workout sessions, and we have become a team of bilingual professionals united to pay forward this guided healing to the diverse members of our community. So we're honored to have you and your time and interest today, and let's move on to any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So Ed's going to get the first question. Ed, how about it?
Okay, how's guys doing? You did a great job. I appreciate your time. I have a few questions. My first, the thing that struck me the most was your price point at $50 a month. It seems very, very expensive. And I'm trying to get an idea of who the customer specifically is, but regardless of who the customer is, $50 a month is a lot of money. And then you also said that by the end of year one, you only anticipate 100 members. Maybe it would make more sense to increase the number of members you anticipate getting and lowering that monthly cost. To me, that just struck me as so much. And then my other question is, how will you build this app? And will the revenue that you acquire help to pay for that? Is that the plan?
So $50 a month is very affordable, to be quite honest. Since November.
Not to me.
Hey, but it all depends on the person. But
okay.
Since November, we started with 5 individuals. As of today, we have roughly 30 people that are participating right now that actually pay $50 per to be a part of our program. And as far as the app, we use the same app developer that Lifetime Fitness uses. So the app is already created. It's things that we want to add to it additionally. But right now, again, that $300 that we spoke about, that's part of what we pay monthly as far as our overhead.
Okay. Okay.
One other thing, my apology, you said 100 members. So the 100 members, and you have a great point. We could adjust the price point and bring in more members per se. But I believe with what we're providing, it's so much value. You know, we're providing 3 different segments: mental health, physical fitness, and and nutrition. And it's so much that comes with it. And we're not taking away from any Planet Fitness or anything like that. We're actually a supplement to that. You can spend $20 at Planet Fitness and spend 50 with us per month, and you'll have the accountability with a coach that can actually tell you exactly what to do within Planet Fitness, rather than you just go in and it just
maybe consider like a tiered pricing approach, so you don't disqualify folks who can't afford that $50 a month.
Yes, sir.
All right, Bronson, let's come back to you in case you wanted to ask a question.
Sure. So I'm curious about, so you said the app is developed. How much did it cost to, sorry, was I muted during, or could you hear me when I?
We could hear you.
Fine.
Okay, great. What have the app development costs been so far, and how do you think about the competitive landscape? So I realize it's just fitness, but for example, I use a VR fitness app that costs $180 a year, and I would be thinking about it. I would consider that part of the competitive landscape. So I'm curious how you think about the competitive landscape as well.
So as far as the cost for the app, the members it doesn't cost them a thing. But to your point, for disclosure, currently we're spending roughly $60 to $70 per month to, basically that's what we pay for the app. And we use it as this tool that it's more than fitness. It's fitness, nutrition, mental health, and financial literacy. So to be able to access all of that and, have an individual that you can actually speak to and actually hold you accountable, I think that sets us apart from many of the competitors, because it's not many people out there or businesses that are providing that type of access to all these things across the spectrum.
So are the users going in and downloading an app from the App Store that they're interacting with you on?
Yes, so they go to our website, they'll sign up. It prompts them to go to the App Store, download the app, and then they'll build their profile. And from there, that's where the questionnaire is developed. And then again, the questionnaire breaks down each segment of what we produce. And based on that, each one of our departments looks at this questionnaire. And again, it's human, so I think that's the thing that separates us apart from the competitors.
Okay, so it's all human interaction, basically. It's
for sure.
And so like video chats or messaging, how are they getting the coaching?
So the weekly live sessions, one day it'll be lovely to have a full-blown partnership with Zoom, but that's what we use as far as our live sessions. We have private codes that they can use to Mondays and Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. 6:30 a.m. in the morning, 6:30 p.m. at night. We have 2 workout sessions. And on Wednesday, the same thing as well. So they can access us that way. But through the app, we actually have the community where we all participate within this community. We share our dogs walking with one another. We share nutritional tips. We share, any type of advice. So again, it's human interaction as if we were there in person, but we're in a virtual space creating this.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So there we have it. So we'll move on to our final company of the evening, which is Apparent. So Teresa, Celine, Caroline.
Teresa.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Teresa Donlin. I'm an accounting major and I'm a freshman at Manhattan College.
Hi, I'm Celine Lewandowski. I'm a junior marketing major.
Hi, I'm Caroline Voigt. I'm a junior and a marketing major, and we are Manhattan College students, and we're bringing you a parent. Sorry, it won't let me. There we go. Apparent comes from the increasing relevance of big data. Every business generates data, whether that be Instagram likes, sales for the day, inventory count, or anything else. But not every business, especially small businesses, can capitalize on the data that they generate. Data is a growing industry, and for example, a growing volume of digital information is increasingly generated daily. Google's cloud business reported that their sales rose 46% to $13.08 billion in 2019. Consulting isn't affordable for small businesses, and they also don't generate the volume of data that's required to analyze that big companies can. For work, I help small businesses with their social media and marketing, and a lot of my clients are interested in using what the internet has to offer to better their business. They just don't know how, and I can't go to every business owner in America and tell them how their Instagram stats and inventory are correlated and things like that, but what if there was something that could? We generate data for everything. Why can't it be optimized and capitalized on by everyone? Introducing Apparent. We send small emails with custom data points and industry updates for your small business. Just like you get morning briefing emails from the Skim, Morning Brew, Wall Street Journal on the state of the world, Apparent's emails give you insight on the state of your business and industry. We have a base website where you connect your APIs, feeds, locations, and interests. You'll also link your social media, e-commerce, website, inventory, and any Google alerts. Then we'll use machine learning through algorithms to make actionable recommendations for your business using micro and macro data.
Apparent uses your data from APIs and RSS feeds, which is cross-analyzed across the business owner's different platforms and data outputs. Apparent focuses on combining specific data between similar businesses so we can offer an input from their industry competition on both a macro and micro level. Apparent will be using this data is being organized by a business platform through both open and closed APIs. Business owners might be hesitant at first to provide us with their data, but at the end of the day, they're already giving this information to companies like Facebook who are selling it and profiting it off. Apparent believes that small businesses should also have access to make business decisions off of their interpreted data. By providing us your data, you understand that we will analyze your data alongside others in your industry to create market reports that are being sold. Our free macro level report emails combine non-proprietary data from your business and other groups related to small businesses. For an example, if you're a pizza place, that means data from similar sized businesses in your pizzeria's town or similar pizza places in your state. For our Plus plan, which is $50 monthly subscription, Apparent uses businesses' micro data, giving it more personalized numbers and more specifically driven insights.
Apparent's target market is tech-handicapped small business owners who need to play catch-up in our information-driven business environment. While developing this product, we have worked closely with 13 small businesses, from wholesale suppliers to clothing boutiques. We analyzed different use cases and current pain points that they have, which determined that the insights that would be most beneficial were features that contain comparative analytics across all social media platforms combined and notifications about local events. Apparent arms small businesses with data and insights that large companies have already been utilizing and profiting from. Our product will allow for a more fair playing field when it comes to a small businesses making informed decisions. To bring Apparent to our market, we're going to infiltrate popular Facebook groups to build our base with 13 beta users to about 100. Beta users will get to use our Plus service for free in exchange for helping us to test our product. Apparent's competitive position is that there are no substantial competitors in this level for business owners that Apparent is targeting. All competitors target a more industry-facing business owner who can afford a higher price point and more company-specific first-party data.
We will be using the funding from this challenge to hire for programming and algorithm updates. Especially at the ground level, we don't need a data scientist to draw conclusions. We can draw a lot of them ourselves, especially if we can handle our beta user base. And then we'll determine which use cases are best and most influential for our small business owners, and that's what we'll spend our time and money on. A long-term goal to be to sell Apparent's email technology and services to a company like Shopify or anywhere that's working to be a hub for small business services. For more info about our pricing, costs, and research, please scan the QR code on the side or click the link that I'm going to put in the chat. Thank you, and we will take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Team Apparent. So Donna will get the first question.
First off, I think it's great and girl power in this group. So congrats in terms of that wasn't lost on me. So small, medium-sized businesses, it sounds like you have some. I didn't have a chance to scan before the question, but are you actually doing consulting services right now? So have you actually actively engaged in projects?
Yes. So since high school, I've been hired to run social media and do marketing campaigns for a bunch of different businesses at different levels. So people that we surveyed include a wholesale produce company that supplies to 400 restaurants throughout the city. They're generating a ton of data, but don't even have a website. So they're struggling on how to market themselves besides word of mouth, especially because it's business to business. And then on the other end of that, I work with businesses in fashion. And one of my favorites, who's provided us a lot of data, is a company that does couture kids clothing. And it's run by a lady who's in her 60s. She has no idea how to use social media, but she's so interested but doesn't have the wherewithal to draw conclusions. So something that was interesting for us was that her use cases and what would make the product so important for her is similar to all of the other people that we interviewed. And they all have the similar pain points because they're interested in something like this, but they don't want to dedicate a branch of their business to it, or don't think they have the time, or don't think it's necessary. Because a lot of times what we're realizing is it's not a negative thing that they don't have social media presence or aren't capitalizing on emails that they get, or their email lists that they're generating, or their repeat customers, but it's not a positive either. You should be capitalizing like any other companies can, especially if they're giving you giant amounts of data.
You mentioned Shopify. I think that could be a great extension for you. Have you had any discussions, or is that sort of just something longer term that you're thinking about, how you could integrate with Shopify for small, medium-sized businesses?
We've been talking to a startup out of San Francisco called Parabola, and they're advising us and giving us information on how to organize routine data and things that are already happening. So we're starting partnering with them and seeing what they can give us, and then hopefully we'll know if we can provide a link that Shopify either doesn't have already, or if our company grows to a certain point, not only will we be able to provide them a product, but we could also give them our user base.
That's great. Excellent. Well done.
All right. Next question goes to Zen.
Great presentation. Like Donna said, girl power, and it's real here. Two questions for you. One, are you aggregating data across their own platforms, your customers' platforms, social media, website, traffic, engagement, so on and so forth? And it seems like you're also aggregating maybe customer data, but definitely competitor data.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is to take non-proprietary data that's being generated from small businesses. Instagram gives you your stats. All of your social media gives you your stats. The payment system you use does. All of this information is being generated by your business, but it's not being cross-analyzed, and you can't see comparative analytics without hiring a consultant for a small business. So the idea is to give paid users micro reports of their specific data and points that are unique to them. And then the idea is to use that data and the large volume of it to be able to provide reports for all pizzerias in the Bronx, or all local Main Street stores on a certain town, and that type of information there.
And that's run by some machine learning or AI?
Yes. So it's a combination of algorithms that will improve with machine learning, and it's also going to require a lot of help of our beta users, because not only are we looking to see if they produce an output that's worth something, but we also need to measure in person, which you can't do through algorithms, on how effective and useful those insights are. There's no point in providing these insights if you can't capitalize on them.
Are you finding that a lot of small businesses don't have websites or social media presence? And if they don't, how do you work with them then? Data points.
Yes, I'm finding something that's happened more often than not is if I'm hired to build someone a website or run a social media campaign or do something, a lot of times with older business owners, it's not them that's hiring me. It's been like their kids. Mom, you got to get someone to do this. You got to get someone to do that. And it's word of mouth, and I find out. So a lot of times they're very hesitate because they're not really knowledgeable. But the goal with these emails is everyone understands an email, everyone understands a letter. If you could read through manageable sentences about what your Instagram is doing or the traffic to your Google page for your small business, and if you could read it in layman's terms, that hopefully is something that, because I can't walk through every business owner with all of their stats, and a website can't do that for you either.
So that's why email versus having an app that just beautifully aggregates and analyzes all the data and, you know, presents you with whatever touch points.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
All right, so our last question will go to Winston.
Again, great presentation. Love the business idea, business model. My question to you is, in terms of, you know, customer acquisition, like what is your rollout in terms of your bigger rollout for acquiring these small businesses? And then second question is, it feels like it's doing a combination of a Hootsuite as well as a Shopify, as well as a combination of Salesforce as well. Are those companies your competition as well, because they do service different size businesses?
Yes. So for your first question, where you have 13 beta users that are really power users and are very interested in what we're doing, and we started out with 6 of those, and they already, with word of mouth and through their business communities, were able to bring us other people that were interested. Something that we're working towards is infiltrating Facebook groups of different entrepreneurs in different communities to not only gauge their interest, but also to see what other pain points they have and what they'd be willing to do. And we're hoping that if they help us at the ground level and we'll provide our services for free, that not only will it become an industry standard or something that you just associate with small business. Like when I think small business, I think, okay, GoDaddy domain and Shopify e-commerce. So the goal is to have this just as another tool that's assumed and prevalent in the small business arena. And then for your second question, so we're not really looking at them as our competitors, because we are using the APIs, the RSS feeds of the data that they're generating. Our competitors are things like Clearbit and other programs that analyze and do custom use cases for your data, except those plans start around $1,000, and you can't target a customer that's already like curious but not knowledgeable at all about the industry, and have them pay that much for an output that either they won't understand or is too much of a volume of data, which when they don't qualify for it, or if they can produce that amount of data, they can't interpret it on their own without paying even more.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll leave it there. And I just wanted to say collectively, thank you so much, and hats off to all of the companies that presented here tonight. And thanks also to the judges. Now, the judges have an unenviable task of deciding who will win. So while we usher them off to decide that, we're going to spend some time to get to know the companies a little bit better. So while we do that, we'll actually ask them a couple of questions between myself and my co-host, Dintron Gibson. And while that is happening, I just wanted to take a second to welcome anybody that had joined midway through to the Battle of the Bronx. So this is the Battle of the Bronx. It is a head-to-head competition between Manhattan College and Fordham University, where we pit our best entrepreneurs who've won pitch competitions in the respective universities and colleges and are now competing to see who comes out on top and who will be the award winner of the inaugural Battle of the Bronx competition. Now, whether you are new here or not, I want to encourage you all to vote for your People's Choice Award winner. Now, how you'll do that is 4 easy steps. So you'll scan the QR code, you'll download the app, you'll sign up as a pre-investor, and then you'll find a list of the teams if you enter event code 8629, where you'll cast your votes and bet with your digital money which will determine who wins real money as our People's Choice Award winner. Now, to recap, the companies that we had present tonight are Noted, Omnia, Sjogren's Tracker, Iadap, Fit University, and Apparent. So please, download the app, show your love. While the judges are deciding, you should also be deciding, but let's get to know these companies a little bit better. So I'll welcome my colleague, Dean Don.
All right, thank you, Sean. And why don't we, well, we'll go in order by, I'm going to talk to Manhattan College teams, I guess, and Sean will talk to Fordham teams. But if we're intrigued, we may ask questions across colleges. You just don't know what's going to happen. So why don't we start with Omnia, and Joseph or John, can you talk a little bit about, what was how does it feel? What was your assessment of the judges' questions? And were you surprised by anything you got? We have an excellent set of judges, and they asked some challenging questions. So what did you think?
Well, they were definitely challenging, but they were the correct questions to ask for the type of business we were trying to create. But yeah, I mean, the machine learning ones, they're definitely hard. It's a really hard concept to get your head around, the fact that a computer can kind of learn and come to conclusions on its own. But yeah, I mean, they were all fair questions.
All right.
Yeah. And
I
would also just say, just from the last innovation challenge and this one, you really, all these questions and everything, you really look at every aspect of the business that there's no possible way you could look, at all of this. So all of these questions and criticisms, it's all very good to look into, because you really do look at every aspect of the business, through these challenges. So, yeah.
Absolutely. You want the questions now because as you step it up and ask other people for funding, they're going to have questions for you. So yeah, the more angles you get, the better. Are you two just clothes fans? I mean, are you big buyers of clothes on the internet? Was that one thing that drove you?
Well, so yeah, not really. But part of the reason is because of how horribly complicated it is to make a choice. I mean, you get on a website, there's 10,000 options and you're just scrolling through, you get numb. You're just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So then we just decided that it would be probably easier to see them one at a time.
All right, very good. And I just wanted to say, you all, and I should have commented before all the teams, but all of you teams really did a nice job. This is we've got 100 people watching you and impressive judges. So nice work on presenting your ideas. Sean?
Yeah, I guess I'd love to hear from Sjogren's Tracker and get Ingrid to the stage.
Yeah. Anything specific?
Yeah, one question that comes to mind for me is, here in your pitch, there's Fordham Juris Doctor, Fordham MBA, and yet somehow you've got a mobile app that's now in the App Store. So how did you actually come to develop this app, or is there any words of encouragement?
Oh, so it's funny. So I was practicing as a lawyer for a couple of years, and toward the end of that, I started representing tech startups that were VC funded in the crypto field. And then they were as part of our legal analysis, we need to sort of understand the technology, and we would have the CTO come explain it, all the possibilities. So I became fascinated in that arena. And around the same time, I had my autoimmune thing. I was trying to look for an app that could help me, but nothing really good. I tried a couple of the ones that were in my slide with the competitive landscape, but they weren't that great at all. So I wanted to come up with a better solution. These things just came together, I guess.
Yeah. And it just the code came to you just by working with tech companies. It seems to be intimidating for people, right? So.
No, but then but when the CTO was explaining it to me, I thought, oh, this is really cool. Because then what they say is anything's possible. So they tell me anything's possible. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Then it seems like what I want to do to track my health information should be fairly easy, because I didn't even think, I thought I just wanted to be able to put the data, have it graph automatically without me having to go into a Google slide, a Google Sheets. That's how I was using it doing it back then, and I have to manually run a graph. Though that's a pain. I would want certain statistics automatically generated, and then the certain information automatically graphed. So I decided to just hire somebody and do it.
So I noticed you called it your autoimmune thing, and there's got to be a ton of passion that goes into pushing through the hard parts of entrepreneurship. If the thing that you're building is actually something that's near and dear to you, because what does this mean to actually build Shogun's Tracker for you and other people that face this issue?
Yes. So what I really want to do, well, so for the first thing, it's an easier way to communicate with doctors who always ask you how many days were you sick last year, which is hard to remember. And they tell you to keep a paper journal to document things that potentially gives you causes a trigger and flares. But the app will generate certain statistics that will tell you which aggravators were associated with flares how many times. So that makes that easier. And in terms of telling your health information to your doctors. But really, I wanted to just have more control to see which things were causing which symptoms. I wanted to be able to identify patterns, both either myself through looking at the visuals or eventually adding some sort of machine learning elements. But machine learning, I have to investigate that a little more because it would require a lot of processing power. That's at a point where I need I need to build a custom server and all of that. So right now I'm building a proxy, a fake machine learning, as you call it, where I'm having my developer look for increases in symptom severity. And for each day there's an increase to look at which aggravators that were ticked off and to generate something to the users that says, based on the data you've given, we noticed that you tend to have an increase in symptom X every time there's also environmental factor Y about 50% of the time. So it's like a fake prediction type of thing.
Until you make it. But I'll pass it back over to Don.
Very good. And I thought I'd ask a couple questions of Iadap. Your team is also approaching an inspirational area, and that's trying to help people with limb deficiencies. And let me ask you, have you done a prototype of the device and tried it on someone? And I think you worked with a little girl, perhaps the girl in the picture. Maybe you can give us a little a feel for who you've worked with and what you've learned in that process. I don't know, shall we start with Sean or Stephen, or who wants to weigh in there?
I could definitely take that response. So, the idea, or a professor actually at Manhattan College has approached us and stated that she had a niece who suffers from limb deficiency. So that's kind of where the idea and the drive to build something like this for her came from. And you are correct. We have worked with one prototype. And as mentioned in the presentation, we partnered with a nonprofit organization who does have experience in this. And it was definitely a learning experience going there, working with them. A bunch of us engineers, all we want to do is just create. But obviously, we have to analyze certain things, take everything into consideration. But yes, we have worked with a prototype. And the device that you see here on the presentation was actually, I believe it's almost finalized. So that's actually like the most finalized prototype that we have so far.
Terrific. And would you say, as engineers, which of your classes has been, most important for developing these kinds of prototypes? Are you all mechanical engineers, or what kind of experience are you bringing on that end?
Yeah, so I can take it. Yeah. So me, Alex, Sean, and Steven are actually mechanical engineers. So a lot of questions I get asked is, what do engineers do? As mechanical engineers, we deal with anything that moves, such as air, cars, airplanes, or in other words, like the human body. So classes that we have taken have definitely helped, classes such as machine design or solid mechanics, where you actually analyze components and stresses. Really does help us when it comes to designing prototypes.
That's terrific. And Kelly, I guess I have to ask you, as the lone business student among these engineering students, how did that go? And was there translation needed? This is something we really like about our competition, is that we try to mix people up. So how did that go?
It's actually worked out really well the past few months. They definitely bring a lot to the table, and like I think my skills bring a lot to the table too. And we were just able to really work together and yeah, create this great company. And yeah.
That's good. You're often coming from different cultures, and sometimes it can take a bit to negotiate that. But I'm really glad you were able to add your skills to this team. Kelly is in our honors program at O'Malley School of Business. I had to toot her horn there a little bit. I guess one more question. So do you have 3D printing capability? You said 3D printing is certainly the way you're going to start, I guess, before it gets more manufacturing. Say a little bit about your 3D printing capability.
So in regards to the prototypes that we've worked with, so we use a program called NX, which is very well known to many engineering students at Manhattan College. And that's actually something that we had to learn as well, which is very beneficial, that allowed us to create or generate the 3D model that you saw in the presentation. And the engineering school has given us the opportunity to use their 3D systems in order to print out these prototypes, to test them out, to do whatever it is that we need to do. So that's definitely been a great help, and to just have access to that has been a great support for Iadap.
Terrific, thank you. Sean, back to you.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to hear from Noted. So Kevin, you are still a current student in undergrad, and I know while it can be challenging to come up with a winning idea or have the guts to even try entrepreneurship, I was curious if you can just share a little bit about your journey as a student entrepreneur.
Absolutely. This is a great question, but I actually started finding an interest in entrepreneurship in my freshman year, when I wasn't really quite sure of where I was headed or what I wanted to do, and I wanted to kind of carve my own path. And I originally started out with a few business ideas, and one of them even used to be a solar panel scooter sharing system called UScoot. And as I progressed on that one, I also developed other smaller, like side hustles, you could say, and really just kind of tried to push things forward. But I kind of fell in love with different aspects as my life grew. One was the transportation system, because I was always walking around, so I wanted a scooter. And then now, as I'm going into my job searching area, I started to think of what could I do to improve this area of life. And that really is where the seed of Noted took place. And as I said previously too, my friend and I just kind of came up with the idea after bouncing things off our brains with other company influences and tying it all together in a very seamless and very cool way.
That's all right. So I believe that we're starting around the bend with the judges, but before they come back, I guess, what is in store for you? I mean, to whether or not you go off and take a job or continue to build this business, I mean, you've gained some skills and some experience that I'm sure will take you very far, but how do you think you'll apply this experience, and what's next for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I commend everybody in this room right now doing entrepreneurship. In fact, just because I know from interviewing experiences, sometimes internship experiences, one of the number one things that people always get excited about me talking about is entrepreneurship, and how creating a business involves so many different moving parts and working in a team. So I think that is a testament to all the people here, and one of the reasons why I love it so much.
That's all right. That's all right. So, in fact, I think we can start to close out this brief interview session and start to announce the winners. So, Before we do that, I still wanted to welcome the judges back into the main room and say what a hard job it is that they've had to determine who will win the Battle of the Bronx. So in order for us to get a sense of how hard that opportunity and that responsibility has been, we wanted to ask one of the judges to share a little bit about what happened in the room, what the experience was like, and just what went into selecting our grand prize winner, as well as our other winners today. So I'd love for Donna Morris to share a little bit about her perspective as a judge.
Thanks, Sean. Well, first, I'd have to say that as a group of judges, we were so impressed by each and every one of the presentations. And I guess if we were sharks and if this was the Shark Tank, I think we would all like to spend more time diving into questions and opportunities for each of the respective businesses to actually drive to outcomes. So really, really impressed. It was a hard decision because all of you have a thread of focusing on the end user, whether it be a customer or a business. So very, very well done. We also want to amplify that both schools are equally very fortunate to have such bright students that show a lot of promise. And if these opportunities aren't your right opportunities, we'd all recommend that you keep on going for it, because clearly it's in your DNA to build opportunities in businesses. And I'm speaking on behalf of all of the great other judges who were entrepreneurs. I am not. I only like buying from those types of businesses. So thank you all very much, Sean. Thank you on behalf of all of us.
No, thank you. And it is, heartfelt as that is, I would just underscore that today, now more than ever, everyone's an entrepreneur. So whether you've got the guts to start your own business, whether you're taking risk in an existing business, or figuring out your own creative path that may not look like the world of business traditionally, the same skills, the risk-taking ability, the analytical thinking is imperative for you all. So I hope that inspires the group that we have in attendance today. So on to the winners announcement. We're going to have the winners be announced by a pair that does not consist of me. But before I bid you adieu, I do want to mention that this is the inaugural Battle of the Bronx. So it being inaugural, and why we're making such a big deal out of it, is because it will be an ongoing competition that year after year, we're going to see who wins and how we can stretch this rivalry beyond just basketball into business, entrepreneurship, and innovation. So the trophy that you see here is a digital representation of a trophy that will then etch names into, and it will live in the respective winner's school until it's wrangled out of their hands from another competitive challenge in a pitch competition. So in order to announce those winners, I'd love to hand it over to my co-host, Dean Don Gibson of Manhattan College, but also I'd love to welcome a new person that we hadn't announced. So this is Dean Donna Rapaccioli, who's the Dean of Fordham University's Gabelli School of Business. Donna, take it away.
Sure, thank you, Sean. And what a great competition. Nice work by everyone. And I need to give a chance for Donna to say hello, welcome. And it was impressive to see these students compete against each other. And I know the stakes are high, and it's tough on the basketball court, but this is another arena where we can show some skill. So welcome.
Thanks, Don. This is so great. I'm so glad that I was able to listen to the pitch teams. And first, to all the students who did make a pitch. Wow, such creative ideas. I was really impressed with your ideas, but more importantly, with the problems that you were trying to solve. Really inspiring. The pitches were really strong, and they demonstrated interdisciplinary thinking, creativity, great communication skills. So really well done. Kudos to every single one of you. I also want to thank the judges. Great questions. and really helpful comments. I hope the students follow up with each of you afterwards, because I was in the judges room for a little bit, and you had additional insights. So really shout out to Ed, Winston, Mike, Donna, Bronson, and Zen. You know, you're all so busy, and it means a great deal to each of us that you took the time out to be here with us. And I also want to thank Don, my colleague, and Al Bartosik and Sean Johnson for really organizing this. The healthy competition really does drive more innovation. And I suspect, like myself, many in the audience also got new ideas just by listening to all the creativity. So great big thank you to everyone. And I'm looking forward to next year's Battle of the Bronx. Being from the Bronx, it really means a lot to me. And Don, I think we might have to make a side bet next year, maybe.
You're on. That sounds great. And yes, it's a great point that the judges can be a terrific resource, and we find the network that you develop out of being in competitions like this is really valuable. And we just want to thank, you know, we all know, those of you who are interested in networks, crossing town and working with different schools and different groups of people can really open up your network. So I really appreciate that Fordham and Manhattan College were able to work together. I have to mention Milton as well, because Milton was very much involved in with Al and I and Aileen Farrelly and others in putting this together. We'll thank them in a little bit. Donna, I think it's time. I think you get to announce the People's Choice Award, I believe.
Well,
So
I'm
take
very
that away.
excited to announce the People's Choice Award. And that award goes to, and I'm assuming the name is going to flash up on the screen. That award goes to Fit University, and congratulations to Fit University. Great job.
Nice work. Nice work, Fit University. Excellent, excellent work. And now I'd like to announce our third place winner. The third place winner for a prize of $2,000 is Iadap. That's right, the engineering and business team, prosthetic device. Nice work, Iadap. Very impressive.
Great job. Oh, wow, we're getting there. Should we start the drum roll?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Getting there. Now it is my honor to announce the second place winner. And second place goes to a parent, and they will receive $2,500. So congratulations.
Woo!
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Congrats.
Our team of women power, and absolutely nice work for a parent. And now, are we ready for our grand prize? First place in the Battle of the Bronx 2021 goes to Shogun's Tracker. That's right, for $4,500 in first place. Ingrid, nice work. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We have 100 people clapping. You get Sean and I and Donna. Nice work. How does it feel, Ingrid?
Thank you so much. It was unexpected. Everybody who presented was so great. And like, thanks for the judges for even their input, and everybody at the Foundry who's helped me work on the deck throughout the last few months. Your help has been crucial for all of this. Just thank you so much.
That's terrific. And I think you're putting your MBA to great use, along with the law degree and various other credentials. Excellent work, Ingrid. People were very, very intrigued by the tracker. So I think, Sean, we may be at the conclusion here. Maybe I can throw in a couple more thank yous. Aileen Farrelly, Assistant Dean at the O'Malley School of Business. She and I work a lot on this on the competition we do, so excellent work there. And with help from our GA, Maura Mead. I just wanted to call her out. But Donna, it's a great opportunity to work across the Bronx. The Bronx needs good ideas. New York needs, the world needs good ideas from its business people and its engineers. And so I do think this is a great example of working across with two strong institutions. And I think it raises, as you mentioned, having competition kind of raises the bar. I think we'll go back and think about some, ways of strengthening our team. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure to participate, and we look forward to next year.
Absolutely. We'll be back in 2022. Do not miss the next Battle of the Bronx. Sean?
And fingers crossed it'll be in person. So I appreciate the diplomacy and the stewardship of the deans, but if you can see in the top corner of my screen, I'm elated. We're gonna keep great care of that trophy. And I encourage all the teams to continue to improve, to continue to grow their entrepreneurship programs at their respective schools. And it's only gonna get more competitive. And we can't wait to see where these teams will go in their future. So we wish the best to them, and we wish the best to you all who have attended. And we'll see you next year. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Great.
Good night, everyone.